Have you ever wondered if giants truly walked the earth in the distant past? Imagine titanic beings striding across the landscape, their heads brushing the clouds, their footsteps causing the earth to tremble. This isn't a scene from a fantasy novel, but a possibility suggested by various historical records, religious texts, and folklore from around the globe. From the towering Goliath of the Old Testament to the mighty Cyclops of Greek mythology, tales of giants permeate human history. These stories are not confined to a single culture or era. They span across centuries and continents, appearing in the narratives of diverse societies separated by vast oceans and impenetrable mountains. But are these accounts mere flights of fancy, or do they hold a kernel of truth? This is a question that has sparked debate among historians, archaeologists, and conspiracy theorists alike. On one hand, skeptics argue that tales of giants are nothing more than exaggerated accounts of exceptionally tall individuals, or misinterpretations of large animal fossils. On the other hand, there are those who believe that these stories are remnants of a forgotten era when giants roamed the earth. In the United States and Mexico, early 19th and 20th century newspapers reported the discovery of giant skeletons in burial mounds. Even further afield, in Europe and India, similar accounts have emerged. The most compelling evidence, perhaps, comes from the revered National Geographic, which purportedly published articles and photographs of these gargantuan beings. Interestingly, several of these sources describe the giants as having 6 fingers on each hand and 6 toes on each foot, a detail that echoes the biblical account of a giant fought by David. Could this be a coincidence, or does it hint at a shared origin for these stories? These are the mysteries we aim to unravel as we delve deep into the realm of giants. We'll examine the evidence, sift through the myths, and explore the controversies that surround these enigmatic figures. As we journey through time, let's examine the evidence that may prove or disprove the existence of these titanic beings. Our voyage begins in the distant past, where the first accounts of giants emerged. Imagine a time when the world was shrouded in mystery, a time when colossal beings roamed the earth. These were not creatures of fantasy, but figures etched into the annals of human history, the giants. From the misty peaks of Olympus in ancient Greece to the icy realms of Norse mythology, tales of these enormous beings have endured across cultures and millennia. The Greeks regaled tales of the Titans, a primeval race of powerful deities who were overthrown by their own children, the Olympian gods. These Titans were of unimaginable size, towering over the landscape like living mountains. Meanwhile, in the frosty north of Scandinavia, the Norse spoke of the Jotun. These giants, often at odds with the gods, were beings of raw elemental power. Their size and strength were legendary, their presence a constant reminder of the titanic forces that shaped the world. The Native American tribes also spoke of giants, their lore teeming with stories of towering beings who shaped the earth and stars. Similarly, across the Atlantic, the Celts spun tales of the Fomorians, a race of chaotic giants who were the bane of the early Irish tribes. Early humans didn't just rely on spoken tales, they also left us visual clues. Cave paintings from around the world depict larger-than-life figures standing beside ordinary humans, suggesting a coexistence with these giant beings. And then, there are the ancient texts. Among the oldest is the Epic of Gilgamesh, a Sumerian poem that tells of Gilgamesh's encounter with a giant named Humbaba. The Bible, too, speaks of giants, most famously Goliath, who towered over the young David. These stories, these echoes of the past, paint a compelling picture of a time when giants walked the earth. They were revered, feared, and woven into the fabric of every culture. The ancients were convinced of the existence of giants, but what does modern evidence suggest? Let's delve deeper and uncover the truths hidden beneath the layers of time and myth. As we step into the 19th century, intriguing reports of giant remains discovered in burial mounds began to surface. The pages of history are filled with whispers of these colossal beings, hidden in the folds of forgotten newspaper clippings, scattered across the United States and Mexico. In the heartland of America, a publication from the late 1800s speaks of a skeleton found in Nevada, towering at over 10 feet tall. The remains, discovered in a burial mound, bore an uncanny resemblance to human anatomy, yet dwarfed any known man in size. Further south, a Mexican newspaper from the early 20th century tells a similar tale. A team of archaeologists were reported to have unearthed the skeleton of a giant, its size suggesting a stature of around 12 feet. The bones, though weathered by time, still held the undeniable shape of a humanoid creature. These accounts were not isolated incidents. From coast to coast, from the plains of the Midwest to the sun-drenched deserts of Mexico, newspapers echoed with stories of these unearthed giants. The descriptions were eerily similar: beings of tremendous size, humanoid in form, often with 6 fingers on each hand and 6 toes on each foot. But what were these giants? Were they mere fiction created by imaginative journalists of the time? Or were they remnants of a forgotten past, a testament to a time when giants roamed the earth? The answer remains shrouded in mystery. Yet the consistency of these newspaper clippings, the detailed descriptions, and the widespread nature of these findings paints an intriguing picture. It suggests a world where the lines between myth and reality blur, where the realms of the known and the unknown intertwine. These newspaper clippings provide tantalizing hints at a world we can scarcely imagine. They beckon us to delve deeper, to sift through the sands of time and uncover the truth about these giants. As we continue our journey, let's explore the evidence found in Europe and India and piece together the fragments of this fascinating giant puzzle. Moving across the Atlantic, accounts from Europe and India add to the mystery. In the early 19th and 20th centuries, these regions too whispered tales of giants, captured in the yellowed pages of newspapers and journals. In Europe, the stories vary across regions, reflecting the diverse cultures and histories of the continent. From the Nordic folklore of Jotunheim, where the frost giants dwelled, to the Greek mythology of the Titans, giants were often perceived as beings of great strength and power. In the British Isles, the tales of giants were woven into Celtic lore, with stories of gargantuan warriors clashing on ancient battlegrounds. News clippings from the period often reported discoveries of oversized bones and artifacts, allegedly belonging to these legendary beings. These accounts, while largely unverified, add another layer to the enigma of giants. Venturing further east, India's rich tapestry of mythology and history also speaks of giants. The ancient Sanskrit epics depict towering beings of immense power. The Rakshasas and Asuras, often described as demonic beings in Hindu scriptures, were said to possess extraordinary strength and stature. These stories, passed down through generations, were more than mere folklore. They were an integral part of India's cultural heritage, shaping societal values and norms. News reports from the time often echoed these tales, discussing findings of unusual skeletal remains and artifacts that were attributed to these mythical beings. Despite the geographical distance and cultural differences, there's a common thread uniting these tales from Europe and India. The giants were always portrayed as beings of remarkable strength and size, often associated with conflict and chaos. Yet, they were also seen as symbols of power and might, embodying the triumph of the extraordinary over the ordinary. From the Americas to Europe and Asia, the tales of giants span the globe. Each story, each discovery adds another piece to the puzzle, further deepening the mystery that surrounds these colossal beings. And so the quest to unravel the truth continues. One of the most compelling pieces of evidence comes from an unlikely source: National Geographic. This esteemed publication, known for its credible and thorough reporting, has an intriguing account that bolsters the case for the existence of giants. In the article, there are photographs that seem to depict skeletal remains far larger than a typical human. These images are not doctored or manipulated, but raw, unfiltered snapshots of an unusual discovery. The skeletal remains purportedly belong to beings who towered over the average man, reaching heights that are hard to fathom. Now you might ask, why should we trust this source? National Geographic is a publication that has been around since the late 19th century. It has a reputation for delivering accurate, well-researched information. Therefore, its contribution to this topic carries considerable weight. The article goes into detail about the location of the discovery, which is said to be in the United States and Mexico. This aligns with our previous exploration of newspaper clippings from these regions. The description of the skeletal remains is also interesting, with the giants reportedly having 6 fingers on each hand and 6 toes on each foot. This peculiar detail echoes the biblical account of David's giant adversary, adding another layer of consistency to our narrative. However, it's important to note that while the evidence is compelling, it isn't conclusive. There are still questions to be answered, puzzles to be solved. For instance, how did these giants come to be? Where did they originate from? And what led to their eventual demise? These are the mysteries that continue to fuel our curiosity. The photographs and details in the National Geographic article offer a tantalizing glimpse into a world that might have been. They open the door to a realm of possibilities that challenge our understanding of human history. But as we delve deeper into this enigma, let's not forget the value of skepticism. For it is through questioning that we uncover the truth. This evidence brings us one step closer to answering the question, did giants truly exist? The Old Testament tells the story of David and Goliath, but there's more to it than a tale of an underdog's triumph. In fact, the story takes a curious twist. It describes Goliath, the giant, as possessing 6 fingers on each hand and 6 toes on each foot. This peculiar detail, seemingly trivial, is the thread that connects our exploration of giants from the biblical era to the 19th and 20th centuries. In the book of Samuel, we find the tale of a giant from Gath, a descendant of the Rapha, who had 6 digits on both his hands and feet. The Bible doesn't merely narrate stories of these giants as adversaries in battles, but describes them in detail, right down to their unusual physical features. Now consider this. Numerous newspaper clippings from the 19th and 20th centuries, sourced from across the United States, Mexico, Europe, and India, report findings of giant skeletal remains. The intriguing part, these giants, much like their biblical counterparts, are often described as having 6 fingers on each hand and 6 toes on each foot. This uncanny resemblance between the biblical description and the reports from the last 2 centuries cannot be brushed aside as mere coincidence. It suggests a possible shared origin, a common thread running through the ages, weaving together the tales of these giants. These descriptions from the Old Testament, coupled with the later reports, paint a vivid picture of these beings. They were not just towering figures looming in our ancestral stories, but beings who walked the earth, leaving traces for us to discover and marvel at centuries later. The biblical perspective, therefore, isn't just about faith or spirituality. It offers us a historical lens, allowing us to delve deeper into the mystery of these giants. It nudges us to question, to explore, and to seek the truth hidden beneath the layers of time and tales. This biblical account adds another layer of intrigue to our exploration of giants. As our journey comes to an end, we must confront the question, did giants truly exist? We've traversed centuries and continents, from the early 19th to the early 20th century, from the USA and Mexico to Europe and India, unearthing tales of giants. We've sifted through yellowed newspaper clippings, scrutinized photographs in National Geographic, and delved into the Old Testament. Remember the giants found in burial mounds, described vividly in those newspaper clippings? Their 6 fingers on each hand, 6 toes on each foot, mirroring the ancient adversary of David from the Bible. Then consider the rich tales from Europe and India. Though fewer in number, they added threads to our tapestry of giant lore. The National Geographic's stunning photos lent a sense of reality to these larger-than-life beings. Yet as we weigh the evidence, we must also acknowledge the skepticism. After all, these accounts are from a time when fact-checking was not as rigorous as today. The existence of giants conflicts with our understanding of human biology and evolution. However, it is also true that our knowledge of the past is ever evolving. New discoveries often challenge established beliefs. So, while the scientific consensus today may not validate the existence of giants, who's to say what future findings might reveal? In the end, the verdict on giants is a complex one. It is a blend of historical accounts, cultural folklore, and scientific skepticism. It's a delicate balance between the compelling narrative of our ancestors and the rigorous scrutiny of modern science. The existence of giants may remain shrouded in mystery, a conundrum tucked away in the annals of history. Yet these stories, these fragments of our past, have woven themselves into the rich tapestry of human culture and imagination. Whether you believe in their existence or not, the lore of giants has left an indelible mark on our collective consciousness. Our exploration of the existence of giants has come to an end, yet the mystery remains. Our journey has taken us from the dusty newsprint of the 19th century to the glossy pages of National Geographic, from the burial mounds of the USA and Mexico to the far reaches of Europe and India, from the ancient tales of the Bible to the skeptical lens of modern science. But like any good story, the tale of giants leaves us with more questions than answers. Was there really a race of giants that roamed the earth? Are the skeletons found in burial mounds evidence of their existence? Or are they simply tall tales spun by imaginative minds? If this giant tale has sparked your curiosity, there are many more mysteries to explore. The truth about the Bermuda Triangle, the secrets of the pyramids, the enigma of the Loch Ness Monster. Remember, the world is full of mysteries waiting to be uncovered. Keep questioning, keep exploring, and who knows, you might discover your own giant tale.